Alhamdulillah, ini merupakan siri keempat kita buat kem kesihatan yang besar-besaran kem kesihatan demi rakyat. Tapi sebenarnya klinik ini bermula daripada tahun 2008, di mana adalah seorang doktor berkawan sip, kalau nampak di sebelah kanan, bersama meja kecil dan beberapa kursi, melayani dan berkhidmat untuk pesakit di seluruh lebar pantai, di kawasan-kawasan yang di mana penduduknya berpendapatan rendah dan menengah, di seluruh lebar pantai selama 3 jam dengan ubat-ubatan percuma. Jadi kita mulakan 2008 dan kita pastikan walaupun klinik kita sedikit naif, tapi tenaga kepakaran sekurang-kurangnya medical officer, iaitu doktor yang ada bersama, kalau tidak beberapa pakar perubatan yang lain. Jadi hari ini alhamdulillah kita ditangani oleh Dr. Khalid, Dr. Ishak Masud, Dr. Ishak Masud yang merupakan pengelola di Pusat Perubatan Al-Islam untuk memberi tenaga hingga jam 1 petang hari ini insya-Allah bagi warga Kerinchi. Sebelumnya kita buat di Putrajaya, juga di Pantai Permai, dan yang pertama itu di Pantai Indah. Jadi banyak lokasi. Tapi yang penting di sini adalah semangat dan penegasan. Bila bercakap tentang perkhidmatan kesihatan, wajib kita beri pada golongan miskin kualiti yang sama seperti digariskan dalam Akta Perubatan di Malaysia. Maka Akta Perubatan di Malaysia ini jelas menyatakan you need at least a medical officer to serve the needs of the electorates or the people. Dan kerana itulah kita seringkali mengkritik dan tidak bersetuju dengan pelaksanaan klinik satu Malaysia kerana tidak punyai doktor yang bertugas di kawasan tersebut. Justru walaupun kita sama baik, tapi klinik ini masih lagi dikritik kerana tidak punyai doktor. Bukan bermaksud kita mengkritik warga-warga yang berkhidmat, para jururawat. Dan lawatan saya sebut dan hargai, kita kritik keputusan Kementerian Kesihatan dan Kerajaan memperkenalkan klinik untuk Malaysia tanpa adanya doktor atau officer bertugas setiap masa. Isu kedua adalah setiap tahun kita berikan bantuan sebenarnya, imbuhan untuk anak-anak yang cemerlang dari segi keputusan PMR, keputusan UPSR dan juga SPM. Khusus di Lembah Pantai, walaupun tidak menyeluruh, tapi sesiapa yang hadir, yang kita dapat akses, insyaAllah kita berikan untuk memberikan semangat bahawa pendidikan itu terutama. You must understand education is very important, and for students who have succeeded, we must give them every bit of encouragement for them to continue and succeed further. Jadi dalam konteks itu, teruskan program hari ini, walaupun parlimen sudah dibubarkan dan sebagainya, tapi saya fikir haruslah ada sistem yang berterusan bagi membantu mereka dan memberi insentif yang diperlukan. Any questions?
What's the response to this nasihat rawatan kesihatan? What's the response been like since you started?
You see, sometimes it saddens and shocks me because a lot of them have never had the opportunity to meet a specialist. You know, one teary-eyed lady in 2 weeks before in Pantai Permai, you know, she was meeting, of course, an eye specialist to get her glasses, and we got the owner to give it for free. And she broke down because for many of them here, it is very difficult to even get access to specialists. Yeah. And when they do frequent Clinic 1 Malaysia, the only problem is for certain medicine that require certain controlled medicine, they can't get access to it without the presence of a medical officer. So for me, it's been superb actually, the response, and we met hundreds of patients across these past few years. I think what's important here is to stress on quality healthcare. Now, Pakatan is certainly much more willing to invest more than 3% of our GDP on healthcare. Currently, as it stands, the Malaysian government spends 4.8% of GDP, but remember, most of it goes to private healthcare, not to government healthcare. Hence, we are far below the World Health Organization standard. So, like I said, we were also against the 10% cut of your income under one care for us, when you talk about public healthcare, I was born in a public hospital. My mother worked 14 years in a public hospital. I think you must not only increase the remuneration for doctors, but ensure that affordable healthcare, quality healthcare is something that is accessed by Malaysians. And the way forward is to ensure the government bears the burden for public healthcare. And that's our commitment, especially for class 2 and 3 wards, to be given free of charge.
Berapa tenaga bilangan doktor di Mekah?
Hari ini sekitar 5 orang, tapi dia berubah-ubah ya, kerana ini merupakan kem kesihatan. Kem kesihatan sebelumnya di Pakatan Rakyat kita ada 13 orang pakar. Jadi saya mahu tekankan betapa sukarnya kita untuk mendapat premis. Saya tidak diberikan ruang untuk menyewa mana-mana dewan milik DBKL. Jadi untuk memberikan khidmat kesihatan, memberikan khidmat sebegini dengan pakar-pakar yang bertauliah, itu pun kita terpaksa meredah. Ya, orang panggil apa, terjah. Meredah program-program semata-mata untuk memberikan khidmat. Jadi pada saya, bila kuasa DBKL itu dipengaruhi, keputusan dipengaruhi oleh pimpinan politik, khusus Barisan Nasional, ini amat membebankan rakyat. Kerana Barisan Nasional tidak mampu pun untuk memberikan klinik berserta dengan seorang pegawai perubatan, medical officer. Jadi yang saya bangkitkan di sini, kalau orang miskin, tak bermaksud kita wujudkan kedai rakyat seluruh Malaysia, tapi dengan susu yang ada E. coli, itu diakui oleh Menteri Kesihatan, barangan-barangan produk yang memang kurang kualitinya, tapi hanya pada nama. Jadi kerana itulah kita kata di sini, khusus untuk warga yang tidak berkemampuan, harus ada tenaga pakar, perubatan pakar dan juga medical officer sekurang-kurangnya on standby. Ini yang kita tekankan. Okay? Must respect everyone regardless of their background. Sure, of course you will, yes.
What are your thoughts on the PN's manifesto that was launched yesterday?
Plagiarism has never been defined so well, so aptly. So pada saya begini, di satu sudut saya amat bersyukur kerana dasar-dasar yang dibawa oleh Pakatan Rakyat ini dicedok, kalau bukan kesemuanya, hampir kesemuanya oleh Barisan Nasional. Tapi yang lebih membimbangkan saya, bila kita tawarkan contohnya penurunan harga kereta, kita juga sandarkan kepada keperluan melihat kepada industri kereta terpakai, melihat kepada penaik tarafan sistem pengangkutan awam darat. Jadi ia dilaksana diganding dengan keperluan melaksana reformasi struktur, termasuklah dari segi melawan rasuah habis-habisan dengan pewujudan debaran. So, you ask me, my only concern is it's too short term. In terms of BN's pronouncements, it's populist without looking into the necessary fundamental needs to reform the economy, to jumpstart the economy and curb excesses and wastages.
Maybe that's the same accusation that they said about PR's manifesto that is populist.
That is why I'm mentioning reduction of cost. I said we also said the same at the same time about reducing dependence on second-hand cars. We also mentioned the fact that we're introducing a new scheme called Debaran to fight corruption, to address and plug leakages. And if you talk about other sort of reforms, even for the GLCs, there's a clear-cut plan to ensure management buyout and to ensure that the GLCs focus on their strategic area rather than what's happening right now. And we are also committed to ensuring no more monopolies or oligopolies continue to stay in power. Our commitment with regards to Bernas, our commitment with regards to Astro and the various non-competitive industries, I think that is something lacking in the BN Manifesto. And you must remember the big difference. You increase money, assistance to the rakyat up to the tune of 1,200 ringgit. We were proposing to curb inflation, and one of the ways is to reduce petrol prices. I always bring back to the history the Pak Las decision to increase up to 78% of the original price. That had multiplying effects that caused the economy to spiral out of control, inflation to spiral out of control. So when you ask me, there are stark differences. It's very clear cut that when you think about the future of Malaysia, yes, you assist the needy, but predicated on fundamental needs. We are not going to keep paying for prices spiraling out of control, but we are planning to curb it at the source cost. And I think it's time to ask in the end, how are they going to finance the expenditures? When are they going to introduce the GST? Now I know that the GST bill, goods and services tax, have been in Parliament for some time, at least 1 year. They are not being truthful with regards. Yeah, it's ready in Parliament. It's just not debated. If you're a member of Parliament, you can see the bill is there. Every time it's put in the top list of bills to be debated by the minister and kept postponed. So what I ask is, the BN has to come clean. If they want to implement GST, once they win, then I challenge them to announce that now. Whereas our position is no GST until the basic preconditions are met, increase in minimum wage, plugging leakages, ensuring people have enough to live on a monthly basis.
So while you say that the PN's manifesto plagiarized some of Pakatan's, you're saying that their way of implementing it is more short-term compared to Pakatan's?
You can plagiarize 100%, you can plagiarize 50%. They're certainly not plagiarizing everything. They are excluding the most or more important bits, such as fundamental and realistic reforms. So that's my concern. So yes, while they plagiarize, they have not plagiarized in entirety, and they lack the political will to jumpstart and properly address the weaknesses affecting Malaysia and our economy. In fact, we are taking most of our suggestions from the National Economic Action Council, which BN created to come up with this neo-economic model. Unfortunately, Perkasa then caused the Prime Minister to axe his plans, and the new economic model became just part of the footnotes of history.
Now that you mentioned Perkasa, what are your thoughts about the end backing, asking the end to feel Ibrahim Ali?
Now, as an individual, which was part of the footnotes of history, it's right. I think, he does a disservice to himself and his past, yes, and his past, because for him to come out in the open supporting not only Ibrahim Ali as a candidate, but supporting Ibrahim Ali's position to the point of burning the Bible, as in defending that proclamation, that claim, that public intent made by Ibrahim Ali. I believe it's his way of shoring up support amongst their base, their Malay base, their extremist base, to ensure that he signals that UMNO is going to focus on only its Malay support and shoring up the Malay electorate to be in their favour. It's a sellout, honestly. It's a sellout. It's a sellout, yes, and it signals a sellout to Najib's One Malaysia concept. Because you talk about these elections, everyone is facing the pressure to address the Malay electorates, to address the non-Malay electorates, to address everyone, the various stakeholders. But the point is, you must never succumb, you must never give up on your principles. I mean, there are certain positions that you have to make, and those positions have to be predicated on what is right. And I think for him to say that is completely unacceptable. You know that Chen Chua and so many opposition leaders have been targeted in the past using the Sedition Act. But Ibrahim Ali escapes unscathed after bringing a huge uproar and impact over the harmonious relationship in Malaysia. So not only did the Attorney General defend him, now we have Mahathir Mohamad. So I really ask the Malaysian electorate, please, Dato' Sri Najib, no matter how presidential or famous he feels he is as an individual, cannot divorce himself from the actions and the statements of Mahathir, cannot divorce himself from the fact that he is UMNO, UMNO is him, and they will never change, they will never transform, because there's no political will to do so.
cawangan sini. Dan kita cawangan PAS PPR Kerinchi, dan kita inilah kejayaan awal bagi Pakatan Rakyat kerana kita dapat menembusi perumahan awam di PKN. Sebelum ni memang kita tak ada ruang untuk buat program Pakatan Rakyat. Contohnya YB Hari Parlimen Bantai memang tak ada ruang dan terpaksa merayu sana merayu sinilah. Jadi alhamdulillah bagi saya ini satu kejayaan awal bagi Pakatan Rakyat untuk menembusi dan untuk orang kata membuat lonjakan momentum rakyat PPR Kerinchi inilah, terutamanya khususnya sebab kita tak ada ruang sebelum ni. Memang orang kata bila buat je pernah berlaku di Padang tu sampai kita balik kerja rasa macam perang. Kalau Allah macam perang sebab kebetulan YB waktu tu nak berceramah malam tu lah. Jadi macam perang waktu kita pulih banyak. Jadi inilah yang terbaik, dan hari ini sambutan yang paling orang kata paling berharga lah bagi khususnya Pakatan Rakyat dan Pak Cawangan sendiri lah. Alhamdulillah.
Okay. That's one question. Okay, last one.
Yeah, I mean like the same question asked to your father dalam Al Jazeera. How do you respond the dynasty punya sistem dekat dalam PPR?
Well, you talking about dynasty, which is different, it's not different from nepotism per se. I would say that if you talk about dynasty, yes, I always go back. You can never change who you are. You can never change your past, but you can certainly change what you do with your life and how you define and shape that future. I entered politics when my father was in prison. He was a political prisoner. The institutions of democracy was used and abused to ensure his continued imprisonment and to ensure he was falsely implicated in charges. Now, I remember those years, and I always defined myself as a doctor of reformasi. The entire campaign period, he was behind bars, and we were campaigning alongside leaders from PAS, leaders from DAP, also from ABIN and JIM during those years. And I made no apologies. For me, there was no certainty of winning. We took up the challenge to be part of the political reformasi movement, and I never had a bit of regret. And I think, like I said, I cannot change people's perception. I cannot change what people think or what people view of me. But what's important, at least I am staying true to my principles, and I don't, my conscience is clear. I contested Lembah Pantai because I wanted to serve the people of Lembah Pantai. And of course I did my very best, and I would like to continue to serve them. And I am ultimately answerable to them, and of course to God.
Are you trying to say that even though you are not the son, the daughter of Anwar Ibrahim, you are still here?
I think it's a rhetorical question. How would we know, right? How would we know what will happen to us? I mean, the fact of the matter is, I am his daughter, and the reformasi took place. He was sacked, he was abused, and that changed my viewpoint. It helped me understand the importance of being part of the struggle. How do you respond to such rhetorical question? I hope I will be part and parcel doing this. I mean, I did engineering. My master's was international relations, but I'm happy with my work. I do enjoy what I do, and I think in Pakatan Rakyat, the hope lies in a future that is multiracial. The hope lies in a Malaysia that will be based on issues rather than, personality-based politics, or even the point that I want to make sure as many people come out and support a conducive environment for clean politics to take place. I mean, I think it's quite sickening at this moment in time, having to face so many challenges, but I think I'm part and parcel of the equation. Okay? Alright. Come, students. Okay, thank you.
How do you respond the non-consistency answer between you, Azmin, and Anwar Ibrahim about your mother?
I gave the statement before his statement in Terengganu. We are running in different constituencies. We're helping different areas. I'm flying off to Kedah tomorrow. The point is, he has discussed with the president and he has come up with a statement, and of course we'll support it. There's no issue. I think right now people should really focus on how a minister can allow his or her spouse to get projects and using the excuse that he or she is not aware of it. I think people should really focus on the big picture and try to address the needs for reform.
But why people are saying that this different statements show that some inconsistency in the party. So how would you?
I don't think so. I think what's important is we have an election director, we have a system, and we have nomination day. The Wednesday is set for the announcement of candidates in Selangor and Wilayah. So I think the best thing to do is always refer to that particular moment where all the lists are fixed and announced for Selangor and Wilayah. Again, I reiterate. So, if you ask people during the discussions, there's a lot of requests for the president to contest, especially in Selangor. The requests have been made of me. Similarly, a memorandum was given to me to ensure that Dr. Sri Anwar Ibrahim continues and remains in Permata Paul. So I will relate to you from my own experience, but the party decision, as far as I'm concerned, is going to be announced on Wednesday. No discrepancy there.
Are you afraid that your rivals might point this out in ceramah, saying you can't even decide which seat you want to go?
I think they will point out everything. What's important is in terms of policies. I can tell you every election, sometimes the most strongest determining factor is on the nomination day itself, because you have to make a lot of calculations, especially in the climate where it's not fair. There's no coverage, there's no fairness and non-partisanship from the election commission. So certainly they should judge us on the policies that we make, the pronouncements, the joint manifesto that we agree on. I think those are the crucial bits. And I always bring back, Pakatan Rakyat is a coalition based on partners. It is important because you don't want anyone to feel that we are being stepped on, we are being controlled by a particular agenda. I think it has to be based on, a special bond. I think for BN, it is not healthy for UMNO to continue to determine the course of the coalition.
So even though there is a perceived, perceived inconsistency in the party, people should focus on the policy, and these are just small matters. Is that what you're saying?
Of course. To be fair, do you think people will focus on these issues if they actually had 2 hours of live coverage on our manifesto? It will be our manifesto versus BN's manifesto. People have nothing, especially the mainstream media. What more can they do? Every single day there will be a violent attack against any one of us. I'm not surprised in that few days there will be a host of sex videos that will come out. Why can't you allow us, give us 2 hours live coverage on the manifesto? And the Prime Minister, for goodness sake, why doesn't he just bother cancelling his name from the TI pledge? Transparency International Malaysia pledge clearly states in terms of coverage of media, fairness, and not announcing largesse and projects while you're campaign. So for me, that question should be rightly asked of him. Okay?
Alright.
There's a lot of questions.
There's a lot of stories.
Do that, man. I'm not going to get covered by the person, so I want to go.
Maybe you have to stop suing instead.
No, I have to sue them. It is not to be sued. Really? It is not to be sued.
I have something else to ask about.
Sure? Okay, sure. Yes, guys. Yeah, because trust me, no other politician will accept interviews now. So please.
We tried.
Yes. Okay, it's okay, don't worry. So okay now. You are here, right?
We are here for some academic questions.
Okay. Make it short.
Okay.
No need to record lah. Nanti they get in trouble.
No, they are not camera shy. Anak muda baru.
Alright, first we would like you to introduce yourself briefly just for our purpose to include in our report.
You can get my website, my background. I'm a formerly member of parliament, private candidate for the partai. And the rest is that my qualifications, my master's degree, and also my degree.
So our topic is on religion and politics in Islam.
Yes.
Okay, well, first, the question is, in your opinion, as a politician, how do you see the practicality of Islam in politics?
No, I think it's important to understand the meaning of deen. Islam is a way of life. So when some people feel that ibadah, prayer, ritual, I believe, especially in keadilan, when it's concerning about the concept of ummah, I was referred by Ramadan, ummah encompasses not only Muslims but also non-Muslims. The important thing is you as a Muslim do your best to advocate Islam reform and to ensure whatever you see in front of you, whether it's corruption, whether it's abuse of power, you do your utmost, especially in politics, where you can affect and change policies at the highest level. And those are the efforts that continue and must continue to take place to ensure that you, and this is how I view it,
Muhammad Razi,
Islam,
Terima Razi, Ibn Hajar,
Ibadah is what we're doing today. Even ibadah, when you have ceramah, it's part of my responsibility to inform people of excesses that has been done by the current government. And I think that's important. Now you talk about even the simple concept of character government. Even that is not being practiced as it should be by the current PPR coalition. So when you ask me, that's how I view Islam. There's every day you wake up, you can never divorce the fact your religion is part of your life and who you are. You identify first and foremost with that concept, with that belief, when you wake up in the moment to sleep. So I believe in keadilan. I'm the vice president of the party, an integral part of who I am and why I do the things I do.
Alright, so you said that we cannot separate religion and politics. So how would you define an Islamic state or Islamic government?
Now, when you talk about Islamic State, that's a different matter. I always refer to Yusuf Qaradawi's statement, and if he uses the term fiqh al-awlawiyah, the principle of priorities. Now, before you actually implement hudud, what are the prerequisites? Are you trying to say an Islamic state is a state that doesn't fight against corruption? No. An Islamic state is a state that certainly would like to eradicate poverty, make sure your leaders are amanah, your leaders are responsible. And that's how I view it. So you have to understand in a bigger, more holistic picture of Islam. We're talking about a multiracial society. One of the prerequisites to ensure a harmonious relationship, a stable environment for Malaysia is good relationship between the citizens. The fact that people feel I have equal access to opportunities, not necessarily outcome. But these things are very important and it defines the bigger picture of how Islam will impact our lives. Now, on the issue of Islamic State, I'm talking about hudud specifically, all Pakatan Rakyat parties are governed by the Common Policy Framework, where we outline our plans, pledges for the country, including the manifesto that was recently announced. And I believe all these elements are Islamic. I believe that whatever we're trying to do, increase the living allowances for people, address the issues of monopolies. You come to government for what? Not to ensure the rich get richer. In the example of Syed Mukhtar, YTL, your Tonglai, or even Ananda Krishnan. Your resident is to ensure the people who are left behind economically are assisted in any way we can. So I do not see a contradiction there. Like I explained to you, it's quite clear cut, and that's why, inshallah, I will be connected to this cause.
With the next election, would it be measures to implement?
I think you must understand, I always bring back the issue of common policy framework. The occupation with hudud misses the fact that all these other endeavors to end poverty, why is it not part and parcel of what we are in? Because, like I said, if you are a good Muslim, certainly the best of what practice value. You know, in terms of engagement with non-Muslims, in terms of showing that we are the best examples, we lead based on the desire to address people's woes. And these are all crucial things that should be done. So if you ask me, our focus is on foreign policy framework. Of course, you know, talk about the future, the importances, the priorities, the fiqh al-awlawiyat, all those conditions have to be met. And of course, we try to fulfill them as fast and to the best of our abilities.
If yes, if you were to be defending if we are supposed to be the general election, then how would the status of quo be abolished, and how would the non-Muslim be governed?
Now there is a general understanding that Malays receive some special rights.
Now, you have to look at our manifesto and read it before you ask me this question. First and foremost, Article 153, Article 152, the special position of the Malays and the Juga. That is not one and the same with the new economic policy. The new economic policy came out after, you know, those articles. The articles enshrined in the federal constitution will not be touched by Pakatan. The NEP as a policy that has been existing. Yes. Why? Because we are proposing an affirmative action program that will be based on needs. Now, when you ask me, does it mean the Malays will lose out? Excuse me, the Malays and the Putra form 80% of the rural poor. Do they deserve it? Yes, they deserve it. Because of course they will be assisted under the new program based on needs. And I think that is the position that we've clarified very strongly. And of course, right now, as it stands, the DN is suddenly announcing 1,000 matriculation spaces for Indian, additional 500 more. So there is a general consensus. But what I'm trying to say is race-based politics. Race-based politics. Even amongst the Malays, do you know interracial, or is it intraracial? Intraracial economic inequality is so high because amongst the Malays, only those who are well connected get the bulk of the assistance. You should read Thomas Sowell, he's an American writer. He describes this in the American context of the economy, in terms of the Black Empowerment Program in South Africa. The point is, you know, we would like to see the Malays who are not well connected, the Putras who are left behind, Sabah and Sarawak, who really have no access to the opportunities that we do to be assisted. And that's how Pakatan aims to change it. Now, we talk about the NEP per se, the flags have been made, we have various institutes, including ciplak, that are looking into the mechanics of that transition. Because it's not going to be easy. We will include Industrial Coordination Act and many other acts, in green and everything. But it has to be a commitment because even in South Africa, when they have the Black Empowerment Program taken, they review it. They really review it. They go through a thorough review. They look at the flaws and then they make changes accordingly.
Recently questioned the ability of PAS and DAP to work together. So what is your opinion?
You know, I think it's good the fact that they are being asked tough questions. You know, long are gone the days where people are so confident to say everything is rosy and perfect. They were not perfect. And the point is, the proof is in the pudding. You know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The state that we govern. Did we successfully govern Pakatan Rakyat states? In Kedah, Selangor, mainly, Penang, and also Kelantan. We did, including Perak. Were there huge crises between us that caused the state governments to fall? No. External in Perak, yes. So I think it's good for Al-Jazeera to ask because we're so disparate and different. Yes, we have a common policy framework, but the makeup of each party also, must remember, has gone, is a dynamic process. I mean, first previously had no non-Muslims. They had Muslims, Chinese in their midst, but now a huge chunk of them are in the ROX. So I'm telling you, the entire system works against you. And you know, yes, these are tough questions to be asked, but also allow us our chance to forge a relationship that is better.
Any questions?
Question on topik question.
Yeah.
For voters, who should they choose? How should they choose? The candidate or the parties?
You see, I think right now, in our context, it's important to understand. Yes, I do see there's some candidates which transgress or cross both boundaries, political boundaries. But it's important to understand that this election is about change. And this election is probably the best chance we have to have a new coalition. I mean, you're talking about more than 5 decades of giving BN the chance to govern Malaysia. I think that Pakatan has done enough at the state level. All we want is that chance to implement our programs, which some did say was going to bankrupt the nation, but suddenly they decided to adopt it. So that's the best proof. I think I should thank the Barisan Nasional government, in fact, for implementing most of our pledges, because it really proves they are viable. They are good ideas. I mean, nothing says that clearly that when your opponent plagiarizes your ideas. So I feel people should then focus looking at the bigger picture, where party decision to vote at the parties will have a clear outcome in the polling, because you know, individuals in Malaysia's really flawed parliamentary system. I've prepared so many parliamentary bills, private members' bills. None of them get discussed. Why? Because parliament is a flawed democracy. There's no way you as an individual can survive. You need you need two coalition systems. So that's why I say, please, you know, if you allow Pakatan the majority, give it the majority. I mean, we have pledged to make parliamentary democracy a reality. So, you know, when you implement that, automatically you will have your favorite politicians, whether they are UMNO or Pakatan, thrive. Now, under this environment, that's it. There's just no way you can present yourself in such a setting. Okay?
I think that's it.
Thanks
so much for having us.
Good luck, guys. So there was just this debating thing from UAE that came. So they had a discussion here, and they want